I recently had an interesting conversation with someone on YouTube. They were ready to give up on their channel, and for them, they were done. There was nothing else to do. YouTube success was unreachable. So I asked this person if they have watched Mr. Beast's videos and his advice about growing on YouTube and finding success here. In my mind, I thought that perhaps this person was not aware that such information existed, but to my surprise, they told me that they have watched every single podcast where Mr. Beast was, even the ones that are not on his channel. And to be honest, I was astounded by that revelation because for myself, I only watched like a couple of videos of Mr. Beast and I'm still trying to apply his advice. And I honestly took two pieces of advice from Mr. Beast. The first one is that you shouldn't consider yourself a real YouTuber if you don't have at least 100 videos. On my channel, I have around 90 videos. So honestly, I do believe that, and I don't really consider myself as a YouTuber. And he said something interesting. He said that on your first 100 videos, you should not expect views and you should just keep improving. So that was his second advice, to always keep improving with each video. Try to find a new editing trick, a new trick with your recording software, a new perhaps transition effect that you can use. Always keep growing just by a little bit, but the gist is to keep uploading videos. I don't need to watch any other video of Mr. Beast. I'm waiting to apply that advice first, and then I can watch more videos and get more advice. And I'm talking about YouTube because that's actually the conversation that I had, but this also applies to game development. So the problem that that person did, who deems that they have failed on YouTube, is they put themselves in that position in what's called learned helplessness, where you believe that you've done everything you could do and there is nothing else to do. So you've tried everything and you still failed. And that's a dangerous position that you could put yourself in. And this is usually what someone with a victim mentality does. And I'm not blaming you if you have this mentality or if you've had it at some point or if you're going to have it in the future. I had this mentality a lot of times when I tried new things. When I released my game on Steam and it failed, I had this victim mentality. I blamed the influencers who didn't respond to my emails. I blamed the game journalists who didn't even give me the chance to play my game. And I blamed a lot of things, but at the end of the day, this is pointless because success only depends on knowledge. If you put any person in any situation and they have the right knowledge, they can succeed. If you take, for example, a billionaire like Mark Cuban and you strip him out of all his money and all his riches and you send him to a foreign country, then I'll bet you that like 6 months later, Mark Cuban will become a millionaire or a billionaire in that country, because it's not about what you have or the current circumstances that you're in. It's all about the knowledge that you have. And knowledge is dangerous because you need to have knowledge and you need to have the right knowledge and you actually need to be aware of what you don't know. Okay, let's go back to the person that I had a conversation with. So they took the knowledge from Mr. Beast, but I can bet you that they didn't understand it fully. So in their minds, they had the wrong kind of knowledge. And of course, if you try to apply knowledge that is wrong, then you're going to fail. You have to always make sure that the knowledge that you have is true. Let's go back to game development. For example, if you have some misconceptions about game design, about programming, about game engines, about marketing. For example, if you believe that marketing only begins when you're ready to launch your game, then you're in for a hard revelation. If you believe that programming is important and you cannot release games if you don't know how to program, then again, you are mistaken. A lot of people have released amazing games without knowing how to program. A lot of game engines allow you to make games without even writing a single line of code. If you search on YouTube, the developer behind Choo Choo Charles has a channel called Cynthia Ludos, and they made those games in Unreal Engine using blueprints without even knowing how to code, or without needing to code, I should say. I don't know if the dev knows how to program or not. And it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you have these games who look amazing, who attract a lot of people. And this is your goal as a game developer, is to make games that are fun, that are going to be played by thousands of people. So if you have a misconception about anything regarding game development, you need to fix it right now. This is like the most important thing you could do for your career and your game dev journey in general. Track down the limiting beliefs that you have and the misconceptions that you have about game development and fix them. This is very important. And then you have to ask yourself, what is it that you don't know that you don't know? There is a big difference between, for example, knowing that you don't know something. For example, you could say, okay, I'm using Unity. I know that Godot exists, but I don't know how to use it. So this is one case. The other case is you don't even know the things that you're not even aware of. For example, if you put yourself in this box where you say that, okay, the only choices that I have if I want to make a game are Unreal Engine, Unity, or Godot, then again, you don't know what you don't know. The other day, I made a Nuclear Throne clone in Construct 3, and I made it in 2 days, and it was really fun. I got a lot of results very quickly. So you can definitely make games using GameMaker and Construct 3, and there are lots of engines like that who allow you to make games without programming. For example, in Construct 2, you have these event sheets. Amazingly enough, they look like code. They operate like a C++ script, and you can achieve a lot of things. A lot of great games have been made using these engines. So you really have to think about the things that you don't know that you don't know. So it's all about knowledge. Forget about the external circumstances. If you fail to succeed on YouTube, it's not the fault of the YouTube algorithm. It's not the fault of the big companies or stuff like that. It's all your responsibility. I'm not saying your fault, but it's your responsibility in the way that when things happen, you have the complete choice of choosing your response. You either respond as a victim, blaming other people, blaming other entities outside of yourself, or you behave like a winner and you take control and you say, okay, what do I have control over? I have control over my time. I can learn things. So I can go on YouTube or on a course platform. I can watch a course and learn something and actually do it. So you have all of these elements at your disposal. And of course, knowledge alone is not enough. You have to apply it. A lot of people fall into this trap where all they do is gather knowledge. They watch tutorials after tutorial without applying anything. That's not what I'm saying here. Knowledge is important. Execution is important. And if you believe that one is less important than the other, then you are mistaken. They are both important. You should allocate time for both. Personally, what I do is if I really need to learn something, I go watch tutorials on it. And then after a couple of tutorials, I stop. Then I go back to my game engine and I try to apply what I've learned. This is the main takeaway from this video. If you fail at something like YouTube or game development, you should be happy because now you've tested some knowledge and it failed. So you know that you have some kind of problem with the knowledge that you currently have. And now you need to start a process where you fix that knowledge and you try to acquire new knowledge from reliable sources and you apply it. Perhaps you will fail again. And this is okay because the more you fail, the more you have opportunities to fix the knowledge that you have. And then one day when you have enough of this proper knowledge, when you're really close to the truth, then you'll begin to see actual results and you're going to start accumulating small victories. You have to trust that it all comes down to knowledge. There are really no external circumstances. At least their influence on you is very minimal. If you look at any field, any place in the world, you always have people who are extremely successful and people who are extremely unsuccessful. So unless there's like a big catastrophe, like a flood or a war, you should never use external circumstances as an excuse for your failures. And you should actually see failures as part of the process. To reach success is an elimination process. You try some things, they don't work. And now you have some data on what doesn't work. So finding what works is a bit easier for you compared to someone who hasn't tried anything. So good luck, never give up, and do your best to take care of that knowledge.